When purchasing goods online from unfamiliar vendors or private marketplaces, financial security is often the primary concern for consumers navigating digital commerce. PayPal addresses this exact vulnerability through a comprehensive framework known as buyer protection, which functions as a financial safety net for eligible transactions processed through the platform. Understanding how this mechanism operates reveals the specific parameters, limitations, and procedural steps required to secure refunds when online purchases go wrong. The foundation of PayPal buyer protection rests on two major categories of eligible issues: items that never arrive and items that arrive fundamentally different from their advertised descriptions. The first category, known as an item not received claim, applies when a buyer completes a transaction for physical goods or services, but the merchant fails to deliver the package or it becomes permanently lost in transit. The second category, designated as significantly not as described, covers instances where the delivered product arrives damaged, incomplete, counterfeit, or materially altered from the specifications provided by the seller at the point of sale. In both scenarios, qualifying buyers can receive a full reimbursement covering the original purchase price alongside initial shipping costs, provided the transaction meets specific structural criteria. Eligibility for this protection requires strict adherence to procedural guidelines established within the platform user agreement. First and foremost, the transaction must be paid using PayPal's goods and services option rather than the friends and family transfer method, which is strictly intended for personal transfers and carries zero transactional security or refund eligibility. Additionally, buyers must initiate a formal dispute within a strict time frame, typically within 180 days of the original payment date. Failing to report the issue within this window permanently voids eligibility for platform-level reimbursement. Furthermore, certain asset classes and categories are entirely excluded from coverage, including real estate, motor vehicles, industrial machinery, custom-made items that do not fit description discrepancies, and cash equivalents. Local face-to-face cash or pickup transactions also fall outside standard protection parameters unless processed through official platform QR code features. The mechanics of resolving a transaction dispute follow a structured progression within the online resolution center. When a problem arises, the buyer must first open a direct communication channel by filing a dispute against the merchant. This action immediately places a temporary administrative hold on the corresponding funds within the seller account, preventing the vendor from withdrawing or transferring the disputed capital until the case reaches a conclusion. During this phase, both parties can exchange messages, tracking updates, and evidence to resolve the misunderstanding independently. If direct communication fails to yield a resolution, the buyer must actively escalate the dispute into a formal claim within 20 days of opening the initial ticket. Otherwise, the system automatically closes the case with no further recourse. Once a dispute escalates into a formal claim, PayPal personnel assume the role of independent arbiters to review the documentation supplied by both sides. For non-delivery claims, the platform demands verifiable proof of shipping and delivery from the merchant. If the seller produces tracking data showing a successful delivery scan to the correct address, the claim typically favors the merchant unless the buyer can prove mail theft or address discrepancies. For items that arrive damaged or not as described, the burden of proof shifts heavily toward the buyer, who may be required to supply photographic evidence, professional authentication for suspected counterfeits, or official police reports. Furthermore, buyers pursuing a significantly not as described claim are frequently required to ship the disputed merchandise back to the seller or an approved third-party inspection facility at their own expense while providing valid return tracking to substantiate compliance. Beyond individual transaction disputes, the security framework extends to unauthorized account activity and fraudulent charging. If an individual discovers transactions on their statement that they did not authorize, reporting the discrepancy quickly is vital. Account security protocols mandate notification within specific time windows to ensure zero liability for unauthorized charges, separating general purchase disputes from outright account takeovers or credential compromises. By balancing evidentiary requirements between merchants and consumers, PayPal attempts to create a standardized baseline of accountability for internet retail. While the system provides an effective alternative to traditional credit card chargebacks, success relies entirely on maintaining pristine documentation, respecting strict operational deadlines, and strictly utilizing protected payment channels for commercial exchanges.